Welcome to Demo Day, where young innovators take the stage and showcase real-world projects to a global audience. At WEquil School, students learn to become innovators, teaching each other each week through their creations. WEquil App has thousands of novel and useful projects born out of our students' strengths, interests, and passions. But Demo Day is more than just a presentation. It's a celebration of innovation, collaboration, and the power of young minds. Join us on this incredible journey of inspiration as we witness the next generation of problem solvers and leaders. From Harvard professors to industry experts, our demo days attract incredible guest speakers who share their knowledge and ignite curiosity. Whether you're a young innovator looking to showcase your creations or a family seeking an extraordinary learning experience, Demo Day is here for you. Together, let's create a world where young minds flourish, ideas come to life, and innovation knows no boundaries. Join us for an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and discovery. Welcome to Demo Day.
What I'm going to be presenting is my progress on part 2 of making Stuffy's bike, which is my stuffed animal. But I'm also going to be doing an overview of part 1, just for anyone who wasn't there. Yep, let's jump into it. All right. So first is, like I said, I'm making a bike for Stuffy. But the first thing that you need to do is to understand how a bike actually works. So that is what part 1 is going to be talking about. So here I talk about the different parts of a bike, like the chain, cassette, the crankset, the chain rings, and I also talk about the basic mechanics. So it's actually pretty easy to understand, even if it's not so easy to build. And so basically how it works is there are 3 main parts. So there is the a sprocket, and that is basically a gear which is attached to the back wheel. And then there's the chain ring, which is attached to the pedals here. So this is the chain ring. So basically, there is also a chain, which is this white thing that connects the chain ring to the sprocket, which basically transfers all of the the energy that you're creating when you're pedaling, to the back wheel. So that's all you really need to know for now. And then I also talk a little bit about the brakes. So now to part 2. I've only written the section on differences that Stuffy's bike has, rather than like a normal bike. Because there are going to be some big differences in the mechanics, just because Stuffy is a stuffed animal and not a human, so it can't balance, for example. And so, first of all, there are going to be 3 wheels in Stuffy's bike instead of 2 for the reason that I just mentioned. Stuffy can't balance, so I need to add an extra wheel, so that it doesn't fall right over. The second difference in Stuffy's bike is that there are going to be 2 chains, 2 sprockets, and 2 chain rings. And so because there are 3 wheels, 2 back wheels, I need to have 2 chains, and 2 sprockets and 2 chain rings, so that the momentum is coming from the momentum powering the bike forward is coming from both wheels, instead of just one, because if it was just one, then it would probably like move slightly in to the left or to the right, because the momentum is starting from one side of the bike. So 3 is there will only be um, one um, because there will only be one chain ring per back wheel. So some bikes have multiple chain rings and multiple sprockets, so you can switch the rate of speed. Um, I will not, because there's only going to be one, I will not really need a crankshaft. And so I'm simply going to have the chain ring directly attached to the inside of the pedals. Um, because there are not going to be multiple sprockets, like I said before, the cassette will not exist because the cassette is the collection of multiple sprockets or gears in the back wheels. And the last big difference for Stuffy's bike is that there's only going to be one brake. So most bikes have a brake for the back wheel and the front wheel. But since Stuffy's bike is not even going to be going very fast in the first place, there's not really, there isn't much need for two brakes. So I'm only going to have one, also because I just want to keep this as simple as possible. So naturally, there will be more differences in the proportions too, because I'm making this obviously for a stuffed animal rather than a human. But I'm not going to be talking about them right now. First of all, because you're already going to see it in the design. And second of all, the really important differences is just going to be in the mechanics. So another thing that I did is I also wrote out all of the steps for, well, not all of the steps, but all of the steps, not including implementing the brakes into the bike, for just designing and building the bike. And so I got up to step 18, which is take Stuffy on a test ride, which is after I put together the whole bike after 3D printing it and designing the whole thing. So thank you for listening to my presentation on my progress update for part 2. Keep listening and keep reading to find out what happens next.
We do rounds of applause.
Yeah.
Here at WEquil School. Let's make a circle.
Circle.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big project. I really like the all the steps that you're going through, like all the steps that you laid out, and kind of it would be funny maybe to like show Stuffy sitting on a regular bike to be like, since this regular bike won't work. But yeah, that was a great presentation, great project. I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am probably going to be making a video of this afterwards. So when I'm designing the bike, 3D printing it, getting all of the materials on Amazon in terms of the brakes, because I can't 3D print a brake cable, then I'm probably going to be filming it so that I can make a video because this is a pretty visual project, right? So, yep.
One thing did you have a list of all the resources you found on the internet for learning how to do this?
Yep, so I have all of the resources for part 1, which is actually published on the app. That is what I presented last week, I think. But for part 2, I'm also going to be putting in all of the 3D printing design software. I'm going to be putting in all that stuff that I used. But a lot of designing is just measuring, calculating the area of different parts. I have to measure Stuffy's butt width and height, and I also have to measure its whole height and all of that stuff. So I'm going to be putting all those steps inside the article as well.
I'm just anticipating, especially if you make a video about this, there's probably going to be other kids that would want to do something similar where they're going to 3D print parts to make something maybe for their Stuffy or maybe just for whatever.
Yep.
So like those resources could be really used. I'll bet some of those would be generalizable in the sense that other folks could know how to get started, have an example.
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Awesome.
Also, I might want to quickly grab Stuffy so that.
Yeah, you don't want to leave Stuffy out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna quickly grab Stuffy. I'll be right back.